Hello and welcome back to A Day in the Life. This is Vision KE and I am your host, Shelmith Njogu. So in today's episode, I get to sit with a man who was fashioned for business, and he has been in the fashion industry for the past 13 years. Not only influencing trends here in Kenya, but also the rest of the world. He has such a rich conversation, what it's like being a Christian in the marketplace and in the business world. But before we get into this conversation, ensure that you subscribe to this channel, Vision KE, and also if you find this conversation worthwhile, ensure that you share it with your friends and your family and your colleagues, and I'll highly appreciate. Let's get into the conversation.
My name is Patric Mwenda. I'm a pastor, I'm a fashion designer, I'm an image consultant, I'm also a tailor. So that's in a nutshell, that's what I am. But beyond that, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a son, and these are things that I hold too much deep value upon my life. And I thank God for the opportunity that He has given me to be able to influence the society in different capacities. Yeah.
Okay. So how did you get into business and why clothes? Why fashion?
I think for me, I was fashioned for business. I'm not the 9 to 5 kind of guy. And I remember back in the day when I was growing up, I grew up in Meru, a place called Maua. And since my days in high school, I used to be the kind of boy who was doing every kind of business in school, both legal and illegal. I was selling almost everything.
Yeah.
So if you needed something you knew, Patric is the place to go and find it. And if Patric does not have it, chances are you will never get it. So that was me. The entrepreneurial spirit, I think I grew up with it. By the time I finished Form 4, that was way back in the day, there was this guy who became my mentor later. His name was Gitonga. And he used to run a business where he was a distributor for Unilever products. So I remember I finished high school on 5th of November. By 5th of December, the man had given me a job to be a distributor for his products. So I began working with him, distributing Unilever products all over the city where I grew up. And after around 2 years of working together, I came to the city. I went and pursued accounting. And then later on, I found myself in Athi River, where I used to work for a company called Mombasa Cement. And when I was there, I began by selling cement, because that is what we were selling. So I made a few coins, some capital, and then I began to pursue fashion. Now, you asked why fashion. I realized growing up I liked to look good, and I did for the most cases. I was the kind of person where everybody was looking up to what they are dressing up. They used to come to me, hey, KP is short form for Patric. So they were like, KP, can you help us to dress? Mtu akitaka kwenda kununua vitu kwa Gikomba is like si Gikomba ya huko, sasa Gikomba huko kwetu. Mtu akitaka kwenda kununua vitu Mtushi, they used to carry me, tag me along, then I would go and tell them what pieces will work with them, what they need to do and all of that. And I think that is where it all began. That's where my dalliance with fashion began. So after a while, I came to this city. And when I came here, I remember my first fashion job we were doing with a partner that I had met by that time. And we began by going to Turkey and bringing in the ready-made clothes. And we opened our first shop here at Moi Avenue, Raimutula building. And that's where my journey in fashion basically began.
Starting business in CBD, you started there as a partner, but then as solely you began at Imenti.
So the reason we had to come to the CBD is because we were targeting a lot of walk-ins. So when we began to set up that shop way back in 2012, we didn't have a lot of people that were buying off the social market, media marketing. So we really relied on walk-ins, and the place where we could get a lot of people to come and to see our product was in the CBD, because everybody is here. Actually, they tell us almost 4 million people interact with this city every single day. And you can imagine that is a lot of clients that you can
Yeah.
target. So we used to come here, open the shop at Raimutula building. But then something I realized is that every time we'd sell an outfit, more often than not, those people needed to go to tailors and have the outfit adjusted. So either they were cutting it, either they were slimming it, or something was being done on that dress, customizations and all of that. So there was this tailor. His name was Charles, and he used to be near the building where I was. Actually, he used to be in Imenti, but we used to go to him because he was very good at those adjustments. So I noticed every time we come to him, there were a lot of people that were around him and waiting for their outfits. Now, there were people like us who were doing adjustments, and there were people that were doing new outfits from him. And he was so busy, he was not even able to deliver our outfits. So I remember one time I asked him, I see you're too busy. And actually, it was a recommendation from a friend, and the friend was telling me how he makes for him some awesome suits and all of that. So I was like, let me try a tailor-made suit. I was so used to ready-mades. Let me try a custom-made suit. So I went and I ordered for a custom suit from him. Now, shock on me. 5 months later, he was taking me rounds. And until today, I never got that suit. So I was like, hey, what is not happening, sir? And he came and told me, these are the challenges I have. I don't have a good machine. I don't have some finishing machines. I'm struggling with rent. So the moment people give me money, I'm not able to buy the fabric. So that was a capital issue or an operating capital issue and all of that. And because of my background as an accountant, I saw an opportunity. For me, every problem, the moment you solve it, you're able to make money out of it. So I saw an opportunity and I was like, can we go into partnership? Let me give you some money, buy you what we need, and then we share the profits 50-50. And you see now he was desperate, so he was so happy. He never saw the bigger picture, but for me, I saw a bigger picture.
Yeah.
So we began with him in 2015. By the time we were getting into 2016, we had sorted a lot of people that were complaining and business was booming. Now, we had another problem. He was the only tailor that we were working with. So, and the workload that was coming in was immense, and we could not say no because we needed sales. So the next level was to bring in and recruit new tailors to help us. So we added one more tailor, and we had a group of other tailors that we used to collaborate with. And then after a while, our business grew to a certain level, and now we needed to expand to a bigger space where we are able to put around 4 tailors now to work with us. I went to him again. So this time, I'm moving upstairs, and we agree on a certain day we are going to move shop. And then nakuja asubuhi on a Monday morning, and the guy did not come. He just brought our machines and he's not there. So I go to check him in our previous store, and I find him in the same place. I'm asking, hey, Chaloni, aje kwani hatuendi pale? And he told me, no, I decided you just go and do your work. Let me come here. And the same way you collaborate with tailors, you can collaborate with them. So I've opened a business of tailoring, and I don't have a single tailor to help me. And I don't know how to stitch at that time. That was 2016. So I tried to work with the guys outside, but now sometimes when the client comes and fits their outfit and their slight adjustments, are not able to do that. And the tailors that I would come and call to come and help me, they were very costly. So I remember that year, one of my new year resolution was to train myself to stitch. And I can tell you after around 8 months, I could do the basic tailoring work. And that is where I began.
So that's how Beware started.
Yeah, that is where Beware was born. That was a tailor-made store where we used to make tailor-made outfits, both African suits. At that time, we had not specialized to any line. So anything that was teachable, tulikuwa tunakushona. Then I remember when we began, because of creativity, I was able to come up with a product that hit the whole nation in a way that we never expected. We used to call it a snood. So if people remember, it used to be a hoodie, and then there used to be some kitenge put inside of it. Yeah. So that is what we used to do at that time. And when we started with that product, within maybe some 6-7 months, it was all over the nation. Everybody loved the snood, and then it went international, it went global, and it was no longer within our reach, because The only way you could make money with that now is to mass produce. And there are some people who ran with that craze, they mass produce. We were left in the niche market. Apart from that, I also started to do a lot of weddings. And through that weddings, I was able to make a lot of clients very fast. I remember that time we were in church, Truth Mentorship Society. The first people that became my clients and the first people that really pushed my product were the people that we were worshiping with in Life Church, in Truth Mentorship Society. And later we were able to open the church in Limuru, and we continued to grow. As the church was growing, my business was growing, and everything was growing with us.
Wow. It's so great to hear that you made the trends. You have influenced trends, fashion trends in Kenya.
A lot. I remember those, especially those early days, and even today.
Yeah.
We have always come up with products, and we push those products online. We come up with new products. We are not trying to copy everybody. We come up with those original products. We stitch them, and then we release them to the market.
Yeah, it's important because in the brief that I sent, I said that Christians ought to be the most creative.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and it's great to hear that you've influenced trends. And so you've been in business for 10 years?
12 years.
12.
Actually, if I'm to calculate from the time I began, that should be 2012, around 13 years.
13.
In the fashion industry.
Yeah. How much has your identity in Christ played a role in how you do business? Because that's quite a while. I was listening to some video yesterday, and I heard one of the speakers saying that most businesses don't go past. Is it a near 5 at most? They don't. Businesses fail at their infancy, but you've done 13.
Actually, for me, the best way to answer that is before 2015, or let's say 2014 thereabout, I had been in business from 2011. But now that time I had not really located my purpose in fashion. Yeah. So I was selling almost everything. Nilingia, nikauza makaa, nikauza kuni, nikauza cosmetics. I tried so many things. Oh my goodness, you don't believe. Yeah. So I can tell you I was part of the statistics where most of my business did not last 1 year. Okay. But you see, with every failure, it was like the school fees for the next level. I was learning what I need to do next. Yeah. I was learning the mistakes. So by the time I fell into fashion, I think I had done enough lessons on how to rise up and all of that. But one of the things that I would really say pushes me, and that is something that is inborn with almost every entrepreneur that you will find here, is resilience. Because I can tell you for free, we have like 10 good days in a month. The rest of the 20 days, it's either we are pushing through, it's either we are working hard, it's either we are really fighting demons and just slaying dragons and felling giants. But those 10 days will keep us and push us. Some people are lucky, they have 15, 20 days. But I can tell you, every entrepreneur will have a season of doubt, where you doubt whether this thing will survive that season, where you doubt whether you are really cut for that, where you start to doubt whether you will see the next month, whether you'll be able to pay your workers or pay your bills. It always comes to you. It's not like a 9-to-5 job where you have a salary and a pay slip that is guaranteed whether you sell or not, whether you go out or not, whether you're sick or not. For us, we have to push through the storm. We have to push through sickness. You have to push through discouragement. You have to push through economic turmoil. And you make sure that at every point, at every season, you're still standing and you're still doing what God called you to do, or what God has enabled you to do. So that has been a journey. And I can tell you, from the moment we began until today, I think my story is a story of faith and resilience. There are many times, including even right now when we are speaking, where you have to keep on believing in the vision and keep on pushing it and keep on investing in it. So it's been a journey. It's not a destination.
Yeah. And so what has been that anchoring that you've held on that has kept you resilient?
Oh yes, oh yes. For starters, when I began business, it was more of ambition. You understand? From 2011, it was more of ambition. But then in 2013, I collided with the grace of God, and I gave my life to Christ. And then a journey began with God. And the more I grew up in the faith, I began to realize that there is nothing that I can do outside of God. And I began to realize that everything that we do is empowered by the grace of God that is released upon our lives. So by the time I was beginning Beware was birthed in prayer. I remember we had gone for 3 days of prayer camp, prayer and fasting in Limuru with the same Truth Mentorship Society. And when I was there is when I conceived the vision of Beware. And at that time, I had nothing. I didn't have a lot of things. So when I came and established the Beware in 2016 April, it was from a place of prayer that it was birthed. And I remember, if there is anything that has anchored this business and this vision, from the time it was Beware and now it gave birth to B Stores, it gave birth to Tailor-Made Conversations, which is an image consultancy firm. B Stores is a ready-made store, which is online right now, but we are looking to open physical shops within the country. And now we are also birthing something we are calling the B School, which is a fashion school where we want to train people and then raise the next generation of tailors and designers. All this has been anchored by my faith in God and to serve God in the marketplace as an ambassador and as a disciple. And I can tell you, every cloth that I make and every person that I meet, it's an opportunity for them to see Christ. I might not preach to you the way I preach on pulpits, but my work should preach to you and show you that there are people that have relied fully on God and become a template that God can lift men from nothing into something.
Yeah, thank you for that. There is something that you said about this place being an altar.
Yeah.
Yeah, touch on that.
I believe that every place that God sends you, it's a platform for you. You know, there are many people that have never preached any message because they say they lack a platform. And the reason for that is because many Christians look at platforms to mean pulpits or churches or places like that where you're able to preach. But we forget that we are ambassadors of Christ in every area that God releases you to. Now, I hear they call it the mountains of influence, the arts and education, the commerce, the governance, family, religion, and all of that. But I want to tell you for free that every place that God allows you to operate from, whether it's in a company, whether it's in a church, whether it's in a shop, whether it's in school, wherever God allows you to operate from, that is the place where He wants you to represent Him fully. And the best way I can tell you that is because every Christian has a purpose that God has released upon their lives. And that purpose is where your assignment is. And through that assignment is where people are able to learn something about God based on your life. No wonder Paul tells us to be walking epistles, that people can read you and find God in everything that you do. So for me, this is my altar first. Before I can go and preach on pulpits, in churches, in high schools, in campuses, this is the place where I am most of my time. In a day, in a week, maybe I will spend here almost 5-6 days. More than I will spend on a pulpit somewhere. More than I will spend in a church somewhere. So that tells you that this is my primary assignment. And every person that God allows to come through these doors and come and interact with me here, this is the first place they should interact with God before I even open any Bible and tell them any scripture. The way I operate myself, the way I carry myself, the way they interact with me, the way they will meet me, the way I will speak to them, the product that I will give them, and how diligent I will be with that, and how honest I will operate. That alone is a message by itself that speaks to people more than any preaching and any prayer that I make.
What's the worst customer experience you've had? Now, because I believe it's been a journey. So there are times I know you've let down a customer, a client. How have you handled that, and also like to ensure that your image still stays intact?
I want to believe that challenges are part of life.
Yeah.
The Bible tells us so, Jesus taught us so. He said, in the world you shall face tribulations, but he says, be of good cheer, for I have overcome. Let me tell you, people of God, challenges are part of the learning curve. It is part of the wilderness experience. It is part of the training that God puts his people through so that they can become better versions of themselves. And I can tell you, in every sphere where God allows you to step in and to operate from, you will always encounter challenges, especially with people. Now, you see, for me, I'm tailoring. I make clothes. There will be times when somebody will not really appreciate what I provide for. Sometimes it's my fault. Sometimes it's my people's fault. Sometimes it's their fault. So even the client, I came to believe the client is not always right. Sometimes they are not, they are wrong also, especially in our work. So a client can come and give you a product that they want you to stitch for them. And against your professional advice, they will say, no, just make it for me the way I want it. And then by the time you make something, they come and realize this is not what they had envisioned. Sometimes the client is not able to articulate his expectations fully. And by the time you're done with the outfit, you realize that you are not able to capture the expectation. Reason being, they were not able to express it to you. Now, you see, us guys are creatives. In as much as we work with our own creativity, we have to partner with your own expectation. Yeah. So the moment you come and tell me, I'm looking for a blue suit, you have to specify which blue. Because I might have like 20 different versions of blue and shades. And sometimes someone can come and say, yeah, this is the shade I want. Only to realize after you have done the outfit that they needed something darker or something lighter. And you see, that cannot be on you. Other times it's on you. Maybe you never captured the design. They told you they need a 2-piece or a double breast, and you made something different. So that becomes a place where you have a lot of problem with that. Now, I can tell you there have been many experiences, but I will tell you about one that happened back in the day when I was beginning. So in this, it was December when everybody was coming for their wedding outfits. Now, one of the people that we used to go to church that time in ministry, she had brought a friend to me, and I was doing their wedding. And now I remember there was this picture they had sent me for the dresses that they needed. There were 8 of them, the 8 ladies, and they needed this outfit. Now, the outfit that they sent me was royal blue. The picture, the cloth was in royal blue. But now they needed that outfit in purple. So the exact dress, but in purple. The only thing I was supposed to change is the fabric. Yeah. Now, guess what? With all the confusion, with all the mayhem, with all the yo harakati kaheka za December, I did 8 clothes in royal blue and not in purple that they wanted. Now, the timeline was so short because I remember they were doing a Monday wedding, because that Monday was, in that year, that Monday, which is was on 12th December, which is a holiday in Kenya. I think it's the Jamhuri Day or something. So they were supposed to come and collect. Now, because of the timeline, they were supposed to come and collect the dresses on Saturday so that they can use them on Monday. No, I did everything so well. I was waiting for them. I slept at work and I was ready. I was okay. I was confident they're coming for their outfits the next day. So they come on Saturday. And the moment they appeared, I had done 8 royal blue dresses and not purple. And their wedding is one day away. Oh my goodness. Those people caused drama for me. I remember the bride was crying hysteriously. Like she was so disappointed. She was so disappointed. There is no way she could pick up those clothes. And I had to find a way out. I can tell you it was one of my most traumatizing situations, because it was my fault, number 1. Number 2, I didn't have time. And number 3, it had taken a lot from me. And 4, it would cost me a leg and an arm at that time to be able to sort that mess out. But guess what? We had to do it. So I had to go, spend more money, buy new fabric. Then you remember, it's on Saturday. I only have Saturday night and Sunday and the wedding is on Monday, and they have to collect the outfits on Sunday, which is a day that I don't even work. So on that Saturday, I had to go and find tailors, pay them double, and stitch through the night on Saturday, have the 8 dresses ready on Sunday, and pray to God that every dress will fit every person. So when they came in, we had done magic. They came on Sunday afternoon, and they could not believe it. The royal blue dresses had become purple, and everybody was done their fitting. If there were small adjustments, we did them, and we released them. But it ended up costing me around 40,000 by the time it was done. So there was no profit for me, there was nothing for me.
Yeah, connecting that, because I wanted you to, I want you to connect that with something that you're doing, the tailor-made conversation, something that I've found interesting, that you're using your experience as a tailor to give certain aspects of life or to explain life. Yeah, talk to us.
Yeah, tailor-made conversations is an image consultancy firm. So I call it tailor-made conversations because it's more about myself trying to leverage on my expertise all these 12 years of being in the fashion industry. Among the in the tailor-made conversations, I have different products. So I have what I call Tailor's Diary, and I also have Tailor's Desk, and I also have what I call Tailored Wisdom. So those are the 3 products that I'm working with. Now, the Tailor's Desk is where I come from the perspective of a tailor, and I try to explain image consultancy. Let me give the background before I can answer you. Now, the background is this. We are living in a different timeline, generation, and time span. Before, when we talked about image consultancy, the people that began to drive that conversation were the people in the PR, public relations, and it was more into communication. So people really pushed on image consultancy from the place of communication, and they really carved out their space. Because I remember by the time they were done, almost every company had a PR department to just speak to them, to just try to set up an image out there of what the company is all about and things like that. Then after a while, the conversation in image consultancy shifted from communication to branding. So the guys in branding, they came up with another dimension of it. And they started to tell you it's about the logo, it's about the colors, it's about the culture. And they really started to push on how you project yourself out there. What are your brand colors? What are your identity? What are your taglines? What are your values, core values, and all of that? What is your vision? What is your mission? They really pushed the image consultancy into that level. And those people really crafted a niche for themselves also. But you see, right now, in my generation, I've come to realize that having mastered communication and having mastered branding, the conversation about image consultancy is shifting now to fashion, which is culture. So when you go to these companies right now, they are having a problem because the Gen Zs are coming in and they don't want to wear that red sweater that you've been wearing for the last 30 years. They don't want to put on those funny trousers. They have their palazzos. They have the idea of how they want to be represented. So they no longer want you to tie them to that fashion that you've been doing, which is outdated. They don't have a problem putting on the uniform, but they want the uniform to be a definition, an extension of a definition of who they are. So when you look the other day, when we had our election in 2022, we had a deputy president that a whole nation rose and said, this one does not represent us because of how he is dressing. And in a very short time, they had to help him out and dress to look in a certain type of way. Yeah. Now, the other day, we had a president. He came up putting a certain design, kaunda suit. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, because he had the goodwill of the people, a lot of people came for that. And I remember I was selling it left, right, and center, the kaunda suit. Then all of a sudden, people start to have a problem with him. Guess what? Nobody wants the kaunda suit again. Nobody wants the kaunda suit again. What does that start to tell you? It tells you like fashion now is taking the center stage to define image consultancy. So when I saw that, I felt it's a duty for me as a pioneer and as a leader in the fashion industry to steer that conversation and begin to help companies to define their culture, and not just to change the values that they have held for so long, but to fine tune them with the current times that we are living. So I'm able to come in, I'm able to check what you've been doing, and I'm able to give you a different perspective of your uniform, a different perspective of your culture, a different perspective of how we can push your brand forward from a fashion type of way, and also to speak to your people and tell them from a designer's perspective and from a tailor's perspective why it's important for us to go this direction with this kind of product. For example, there are those natural places where you cannot change, like nurses. They still need their scrubs, but you realize in as much as they are comfortable with their scrubs, they need them in a certain type of way. There is a way they want to structure them. If we are talking about the doctors, they still will put on their lab coats, but their lab coats, they are very intentional about how it makes them look, how it's hugging their bodies, and how it's projecting their image. You think of police, they also don't want to look drab. So the other day, every now and then, we find a police lady that is putting on a very fitting dress and looking very stylish. We find these guys, they are putting on some suits and all of that, fitting. It tells you it's a culture that is changing. We cannot ignore what is happening, but it does not mean that we lose our identity on what it was supposed to be. For example, if you're working in factories, you will still need to don in your overalls and aprons and all of that, but it doesn't have to look drab on you. It has to be functional, and there has to be safety, but also comfort and style. Sometimes you have to introduce in those places. So that's why I came up with tailor-made conversation. Now what we are talking about is Tailor's Diary. Under Tailor's Diary, I'm sharing my experiences in the 10 years or 12 years that I've been operating. And I'm trying to show you that it has not been all rose and bliss. There are times when we have had to battle storms, and also to share the good side of it, to share the bad side, the ups, the downs, to share the experiences, the lessons. That is what I'm doing with Tailor's Diary. But when it comes to Tailor's Desk, it's all about image consultancy. We are trying to address different topics in the fashion industry. When it comes to tailored wisdom, it's to give wisdoms on how you're able to use your style and define you, and also how you're able to mix match, how you're able to make up a wardrobe that is sufficient at all seasons, and all of that.
Oh, wow. I didn't think it was that deep. Okay, so let's go to generational wealth.
Yeah.
What are you doing to ensure that whatever you're building, it is not only for you, but it's also for your children? Because I think we find it mostly with the Asians. Whatever they do is generational, but why are we failing as Christians, and what can we do to ensure that that pattern is being broken, where we are not only educating our children through the system, but also to ensure that there is education also at home, that the children are able to see you and learn and have like a vision that they can take beware to the next step.
Yeah. There are many ways to look at it from, but allow me to look at it from a Christian perspective. The Bible says that a righteous man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. Now, when you read through scripture, you realize that God is generational. He thinks legacy. That's why God goes and picks a man by the name Abraham. And through his generation, he establishes a covenant that lasts until today. That the Bible still tells us that we are heirs according to the promise of Abraham. It's generational. Now, one of the things I've come to realize when it comes to entrepreneurship is that the best way for anyone to learn entrepreneurship is from the place of mentorship. It's not even about going to school and sitting and learning the craft, which is very important. But you can be the best lawyer and not be able to come up with the best law firm. You can be the best accountant and not be able to come up with the best accounting firm. You can become the best tailor, but you're not able to run a successful tailoring business. The reason for that is because entrepreneurship is more than skill. It takes a lot of other lessons. You have to learn interpersonal skills. You have to learn communication. You have to learn marketing. You have to learn accountability. You have to learn diligence. You have to learn systems and operations and all these other things. Now, I came to realize that the reason we are not able to transition our wealth to the next generation is because we ignore the place of mentorship as pertains entrepreneurship. So we take our children to the best of schools. Let me give an example. I start a business like this. And then you see, for me, my background is accounting. But when I come here, I'm doing the hands-on work. You'll find me cutting, you'll find me ironing, you'll find me doing many things. So from the moment the client comes to my shop, number one, I have to learn communication. So it's about how I receive them, how they interact with my persona. Number two, it's about the skill that I have and the talent. I'm able to articulate their product, and I'm able to put it in a perspective where they're able to capture all the expectations and put them on paper. Now, beyond that, I have also to be accountable. They will have to give me money. I have to do my hesabu, make sure there is a margin, make sure I've paid my tailors, make sure I've paid my rents, I've done my obligations, and be left with something to sort at home. So there is a part of accounting on it. Then there is the place of skill. I have to come and now and stitch the exact product that is needed. And then after I'm done with that, there is also the place of presentation. How I will come and take that product back to the client and all of that. Now, you see, all these are many things that are rolling into one single product that is coming through. But we realize with us is that we don't mentor our children to that. So the time I want my children to go and pursue a different thing. So you realize I can push Biwa for the next 40 years of my life, and by the time I'm 75 years, and 40 years later, I've built a conglomerate of all these fashion entities, from the school, the consultancy, the ready-made stores, and the factory, where I'm now even stitching for government, I'm stitching for schools, I'm stitching for institutions. And then my child does not want that. Why? Because in the last 40 years, I was not there to mentor them. I was not even there. I was not even available as a parent. So all I did was to be in my workplace and try to do that. Yeah. So we are not able to do that. Unlike the Indians. I remember I used to work for Ramuindi in Mombasa Cement. And every Saturday or Friday, I can't remember, they used to come with their children. And they would make their children to do the menial works. They were coming from bottom up. So they were learning the ropes from as low as 8 years old. They were in those factories. Now tell me someone that has been in a factory over 20 years of her life. By the time they are 28, they know every facet of that company. Yeah. And even if they go and become a doctor somewhere, even if they go and become an engineer somewhere, even if they go and become another craft somewhere, they will always have learned the ropes. 20 years, that kind of knowledge, you cannot learn it in school. Yeah. So with their doctor degree, they can come and run their spare shop. Yeah. With their engineer degree, they can come and run their tailoring shop. And I came to realize also the fact that they loved this job and they saw how it was a blessing to them. They really appreciate it and treat it with the kind of respect that it deserves. As guys, we have not been able to transition that to our children. So being the person that I am, and being a father to girls, young girls, my first daughter is only 11 years old. She knows what I do. And every now and then she has to come here and just stay around this place, see what we are doing. And also I make clothes for her so that she can also appreciate the craft of how you're able to come up with an idea and execute it, and it becomes something that you're doing. So we are slowly introducing them to the culture of what we are doing and showing all the different facets of our operation, and then just creating that interest in them that in the future they can either choose to pursue or they can even go and do something in the professional field and come and help us to push the product forward. Yeah. So as a Christian, one of the things that you ought to always make sure that you do is that you don't misrepresent God in any way, especially in your workplace. People should not come and talk about your arrogance. People should not come and talk about your pride. People should not come and talk about your anger. All these are vices that are against Scripture. You realize you can never preach to somebody that you have not influenced in a particular type of way. And even if you, peradventure, you preach to them first, the only way you will keep them in that faith or keep them believing in your God is through the lifestyle that they will see you continue to craft for yourself. So I'll tell any person that wherever God plants you, whether you're holding a camera as a content creator, whether you're holding a syringe as a nurse, whether you're prescribing drugs as a doctor, whatever it is that you're doing, you need to understand that you're not just serving men, you're serving God in that thing. And therefore, the same way you'd be very intentional with your altar. You see the way Christians go to church and they're so pious, the way they dress up, the way they talk, the way they act, that is supposed to be an extension of your lifestyle. You don't have to do it on Sunday alone. It is an everyday kind of thing. And therefore, the moment you carry that mindset, you realize it's easy. Because you're not trying to be one person in the marketplace and another person in church. It is an extension of who you are. Even at home, I cannot be a terrorist at home. And when I come to church, I want my wife to act all holy and raise their hands up, my children to act as if they have an amazing dad. And yet at home, nobody can come near to me. I'm harassing everybody in the place. That is not how we live our lives. We are hypocrites if that is what we are. So therefore, I would love to express this desire out there to everybody, that live a life that is an extension of the life of Christ in your life, represent Him in every way, in every direction, and in every platform that God gives you to do.
Yeah, I said the last thing, but the last thing, kingdom. How are you living out as a kingdom, as a king and a priest here? Yeah.
Oh yeah. King and priest discussion is something that is very important in church, because you realize that your kingship is influenced by your priesthood. Priesthood is how you interact with God. Kingship is how you express that interaction to the world. So the more I make sure that I am always connected to my spiritual side. So I'm always praying. I'm always fasting. I'm always fellowship in church. I make sure that I am always listening to the word. I'm always studying. I'm always connected to my master. I'm always connected to God. And that influences or fuels my expressions in everything that I do in the kingship dimension. Now, the kingship is how I interact with the world. Because the Bible says in Revelation chapter 5 and verse 10 that He has made us a kingdom of kings and priests, that we may rule on earth. Yeah. Now, you realize your rulership as a king is on earth. So everything that you will do under kingship is supposed to be seen on earth. But everything that you do under priesthood is what is seen in the spirit. So you cannot separate the two. You cannot be a Christian that is always praying and very lazy at work. You don't meet your targets. You're always messing your clients. Yes, we can see you are an intercessor. You are a prayer warrior. You are a tongue-talking, demon-slaying woman of God. But when it comes to the king, when it comes to the world, people cannot interact with that. So there has to be a balance between your kingship and your priesthood. And we must not lose the sight of the fact that it is our priesthood that fuels our kingship.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Karibu.
Anything you'd want to say?
Yeah, my parting shot is this. I always say this. Don't be heavenly useful and earthly useless. Oops. That means don't be like Lazarus, who is just waiting to go to heaven. There are two ways to go to heaven. You can go as Lazarus or you can go as Abraham. And you see, Lazarus was begging and eating crabs and all of that. His body was afflicted. He went to Namashida, but he also made heaven. But also Abraham left like a man who had all manner of wealth, all manner of influence, all manner of things, and a relationship that God was proud of, that He made a covenant with him and his generation forever. Yeah. So I'll tell you, choose your path wisely. There is what the Bible says, the narrow path. And that narrow path, what keeps us there is consecration. We have to always make sure that we as Christians, we don't do everything that we want to do. We do everything that God wants us to do. Yeah. So as we continue in life, as we continue in business and whatever we do, let that be the driving factor of everything that we do.
Thank you.
Karibu.